I'm Dan Drake. This is Front Up. Our guest today is Kara Buzanoski, the director of the Department of Public Works of the town of Nantucket.
Thank you.
And I think it's very timely given what's been happening outside. Thank you for joining us. Let's talk a bit about snow removal, because that's a topic which I think is
fun and games of the wintertime. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Nantucket gets about 12, 15 inches of snow a year. Mm-hmm. We are up over 30 this year. And we have had...
How do you measure it? There's no place where
it blows.
It blows.
It blows. Those first two storms we had, I said it was only 10 inches, but we plowed the same 2 inches at least 15 times.
Right, yeah.
It just blew and blew and blew. So, yeah, those are the most difficult storms to take care of. The number of inches isn't as bad. It's the amount of wind that we get that's the most difficult. So this has been a very, very... Challenging winter. Challenging.
Do you have a budget for snow removal, or is it just something that
we have a very small budget for the purchase of salt? It's about $25,000, and we are well over that. We do purchase sand as well, but we have had a very good stockpile for the last couple of years, so we haven't had to purchase sand, but we have purchased salt. We typically get one delivery a year, and we're on our fourth delivery.
The conventional wisdom is that Nantucket doesn't use salt.
Oh, but we do. We do.
What do we use it
It's
for?
about a 3-to-1, 4-to-1 mixture, and sand alone will give you traction, but it doesn't do anything to melt the ice. The salt is good to about 20, 22 degrees, and that will actually melt the accumulated snow pack on the roads. So we actually pre-treat the roads with a mixture of sand and salt so that the roads don't get a chance to pack down. And the first two storms we had so much wind that we did put it down, but it blew out fairly quickly. So you'll remember that we had a little bit of ice pack on after those two storms. The storms that start out with rain and we can put the sand and salt mixture down, it actually holds it to the road. So we end up having a much easier time plowing because you don't get that adherence between the snow and the road.
You spent a lot of overtime, I suspect, this year.
It is. We have had mostly weekend storms. We've had two that were not weekend storms, but those were overnight, so they're basically all overtime storms. And we have a crew of 4 large 10-wheelers and then 5 smaller 1-tons. Then we add Bobcat to the downtown sidewalks, as well as 4 or 5 men with shovels doing the downtown.
And occasionally help from a selectman. No comment necessary. The downtown area, are you able to dump the snow, or does it have to just pile up and melt? So
far, we have been able to just push it to the sides. We have had instances in the distant past where we have actually had to go in with loaders and load the snow out, and we usually take it to the Surfside parking lot and let it melt there. We're not environmentally, we're not allowed to put it into the water.
The harbor, which is probably good.
Especially since we use salt.
Yeah, right. And there are other things in that too. By the time it gets plowed up off the streets.
Exactly.
Are you, in terms of equipment, do you have what you need, or for the most part?
At this point, we do. Some of them are a little bit older. We did get permission at the last town meeting to purchase a large truck, and that has been ordered, but we haven't received it yet. The truck that we're replacing is pretty much on its last legs, so we'll be happy to get the new piece of equipment to replace the older piece.
What about the bike paths?
That is something that we can't get to until the roads are finished, and especially where we have a small crew, we tend to let them go 20 to 30 hours, and then we have to let them go to rest. And then it's usually the next day that they start doing the bike paths. We have certain areas where it's frozen in the meantime, and we haven't been able to get to it. But we're looking forward to the warm weather at the end of this week to be able to get the rest of them taken care of.
I've noticed, at least in those first two storms with the high winds, that basically the Pulpus Road was closed because of the...
Yes, you get the wind blowing across the golf course, and the plows experienced plowing the road, and then immediately behind them, it looked as if they hadn't touched it because of the blowing.
At least there's another way around.
Yes. And the wind eventually died down.
Some other things going on at the DPW. You have a amendment to the contract with Waste Options, which I guess is pretty well finalized
The
now.
town manager and I, with George Aronson, our consultant for the landfill, and town council, John Giorgio, have been working with negotiating with Waste Options for over a year. And with the startup of Reese's transfer station, there's an opportunity that Waste Options wants to be able to do to set their own fees for the commercial, the C&D debris, and that's what the agreement entails, is allowing Waste Options to set the fees, as opposed to right now in the contract, the town sets those fees.
The fee for C&D waste has been what, 400 and something?
Yeah, 372.
372 a ton. How much of that is actual cost, and how much of that goes to...
$180 a ton is the cost to actually dispose of it. $130 is the cost to ship it, and the balance is the profit.
Okay. So there's some wiggle room in there.
There is, and the agreement creates a sliding scale of sharing in the profit, so that the more tonnage that gets brought in, the higher the percentage that the town will see from that profit.
One of the people who was in here earlier today was talking about the fact that they believe by the time we get to renewing a contract or a new contract for the landfill in 10 years, roughly, that we will be at the point where we're just going to ship everything off island.
We're looking at all options. That's one of them. George Aronson and I have been talking about what we want to do when the contract is finished. There's an opportunity to continue the contract if the town so chose. There's an opportunity for the town to run the existing facility if that was cost effective. There's also the possibility of shipping everything off. There is a problem with that, in that, as we've experienced, there are times when the boats are not running, and we would end up with a backlog of municipal waste waiting to go off, which can be problematic. So we have some time to think about what might be the best option. We have asked Waste Options to give us an evaluation of the equipment, the digester and the air handling floor and the air recycling facility, just to find out what we would be undertaking if we chose to take it on ourselves.
Because in 10 years, that's going to be an old facility.
It is, yep.
There are other things going on at the Department of Public Works that don't have to do with either sewage or waste disposal. You have a couple of new staff members?
We do. We have hired a town engineer. Silvio Janau is a professional engineer, and he is taking on the planning board reviews. He is he is also a certified procurement agent, so he's doing procurements with the new procurement officer, Heidi Bauer. Also doing a lot of procurements with David Gray, our new chief operator, for the sewer plant. And he has been jumped right in and very, very busy. The other new position we have is Larry Kester, who's also an engineer. He is the facilities manager. He'll be evaluating the town facilities, like the town building, 2 fairgrounds, the 37 Washington Street Marine Building, to determine what work needs to be done on the buildings, and then taking all of the buildings together and setting up a priority system, so that rather than having individuals who are working in each one of the buildings making the priorities for that particular building, we'll look at it as a whole. And I think it will.
Presumably the fire station fits in there somewhere too.
It does, yep. He's already been part of the fire station work group, so he's been indoctrinated. So yeah, he's in on the ground floor on that project also.
But not involved with the schools.
No, the schools have their own facilities manager. Diane O'Neill,
right.
who was the procurement officer previously, is the facilities manager there, so she takes care of all the school buildings.
What are sort of your priorities for the next? One of the things we didn't talk about in the snow removal, which we should get to before we get to priorities, are potholes.
Oh, potholes, potholes. New England's favorite. Nantucket, just like the rest of New England, has the dubious distinction of having the best biggest potholes around. Whenever you get those freeze-thaw cycles, the water gets in under the pavement, pops the pavement up, and we end up with the ubiquitous potholes. The tough part about potholes is you really need hot asphalt to fill them. And unfortunately, hot asphalt can't be made in the wintertime because it's too cold. So we end up using a cold mixture that isn't as good. It doesn't stay in the potholes as well as they should. So we are basically band-aiding until we can get to the season when we can get some hot asphalt to fix them. So it's, as everybody knows, it's a typical springtime occurrence. And I suppose the good news is it's springtime.
It happens less here than it does in other places, actually. Because
yes. We get less snow.
And we get, milder.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
Milder winters. Yes, much.
So back to the question about priorities. What are your sort of priorities for the department at this
right
point?
now we're trying to get the DPW reorganization up and running smoothly. New people, filling out new roles, and the existing people, working with the new people to try to be as good as we can in addressing the large variety of tasks that we have, everything from roadside mowing, construction projects. One of the big accomplishments this winter was on Bartlett Street. The crew was able to excavate the existing drainage manholes and install some new infiltrators. So I think people will be happy to see that lake that we used to have going on Bartlett Street will...
Bartlett Road, do you mean?
Bartlett Road, I'm sorry, Bartlett Road will not be there. The next one that we'll be working on is the intersection of Main and Winter Street. There's two basins there that basically are in clay and don't leach at all. So we're working on whether we're going to do a drain extension down to Liberty or if we'll do some more infiltrators there.
What about the ocean on Friendship Lane?
The ocean.
Is that a private?
That's actually private.
Yeah.
That's private.
That's
so
what I thought.
Not one we have to take on yet.
What else? Anything else that?
Right now it's a work in progress. We are gearing up for summertime, trying to bring in our seasonal employees. They really are a huge help for the summertime. We couldn't do it with the staffing that we have throughout the year, with the additional work we have to do with mowing and that kind of thing. Last year we had kind of a double whammy. We had a drop in personnel as well as not as many seasonal employees hired. We had not an issue of not being able to get people, but we had people turn the jobs down because they didn't have someplace to live. So we're trying to work out some housing that we might be able to offer for the summertime for seasonal employees.
Lastly, the sewer project.
The sewer project. We are in the second final year of the Phase 2B sewer project downtown. Right now we're working on Broad Street, and this was the part of the project that was going to be the most difficult, but I have to say it seems as if they're moving right along. In discussions with the resident engineer, he's pleased with the progress that they've been making. I was most concerned about the strip area from South Beach down to the steamship, and that work is all complete now. We should be able to stop that big pump that's at the corner of South Beach and Broad. We should be able to stop that soon and let
know
the
the people in the
groundwater go
Whaling
back.
Museum will
They'll
be
be
happy.
happy. They'll be happy, and get rid of all the overhead pipe as well, so that we can start work on trying to get everything repaired before the season starts.
And when does the repaving start?
We actually need to let everything settle for a season, so we are going to have them back again in the fall. So we're going to have patch on the roads for this upcoming summer, and then starting, I believe it's October 15th, we will have CC Construction back and Victor Paving we'll do a full depth reconstruction on Fair Street, a full depth on Broad Street, and the rest will be curb to curb overlays. So it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's all, and this is basically the end of the downtown project, or is there more
The
to come?
northerly section of downtown. There is another section that's in the southerly section of downtown, and we'll be coming back with that probably not next year, but the year after. We do have in the comprehensive wastewater management plan that Woodard and Curran is working on for us, we've got a capital program that's going to be proposed as part of that. So this upcoming summer, working with the sewer planning work group, we're going to be going to the neighborhood organizations and rolling out that process. It's a very large ticket in the $200 million range, and it's a 20-year plan. So it can, $10 million a year is a lot of money, and we've got to do some serious thinking about how or if we can even afford to
Does that
fund the
include the
entire
whole
thing.
Medicaid issue?
It does. It does. Yes.
When is that report due?
Original date was December 31st, but we were waiting for the Hummock Pond Marine Estuaries Plan to be completed. That's not completed yet. The draft is out. They were out last week to present that. But we should see that, I would say, in the April vicinity, just in time to be able to roll it out for the summer.
Fabulous.
Yes.
Kara, thank
Somebody's
you.
got to do it.
Kara, thank you so much for being
Thank
with us
you.
and
Thank you.
telling us about what's going on.
Appreciate it.
It's important that people know that because
Yes.
they see the trucks and they see the workers. And
Yes, and they are very, very busy,
Good.
especially in the winter.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.